behaviors I did on the street, I did in jail for 20 years. So I catch a domestic violence case in my world about 5 or 6 years ago, and my world changed. I met Dr. Joe. So Dr. Joe had a program called Restorative Justice in the San Francisco County Jail. And let me tell you, when she taught me about impact, accountability, it just like, it opened up a whole different world, because I never thought about impact. I got caught, I did my time, I don't owe nobody nothing. So there was no need for no accountability. My time was my accountability. I didn't even know that concept of responsibility. So when Dr. Joe came through and was teaching me those concepts, first I was shocked and I was shamed. It was a sense of shame, because I realized I was responsible for a lot of violence in the Bay Area. Why do I say that? Is because I had a lot of youngsters looking up to me, 25 and 30, and I taught it. I taught violence. I taught it. I didn't call it violence, I call it survival, by any means necessary to get the almighty dollar. But tying it into restorative justice, when I realized the impact of my crimes affects more people than just me, it affects the communities and everything, I was embarrassed.
Because we want to dismantle a system, and yet we're in these courtrooms when really horrific things are happening to our clients and their families. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves that the work of mitigation is really the work of harm reduction and reducing the amount of times that people have to interact with the criminal legal system, and reducing people's sentences so they're not in jails and prisons for years and decades. And a part of, I think, what full picture justice does really well is we get money from the courts, and we're able to funnel that money directly into things like healing circles. And that is really powerful, to use the money from an extremely punitive system into building systems of care for people. That is incredible. It's something that is, really unheard of. And I think it's something that allows for us to be able to build on top of mitigation and on top of this abolitionist strategy. And, in addition to healing circles, we use a lot of that money to fund grassroots organizing and full picture justice, things like Chesa mentioned, the closing of 850 Bryant, things like San Francisco Participatory Defense Hub, things like our participation in ending the death penalty in California. And that,
we view the world now in Wyoming, but in our cases, when we started working with CRI, we learned that by learning about our clients and the generations of their families, that we can help our clients start to heal. And that's an amazing thing to be a part of. It's amazing to have a client say to you, as you've gone through their family records and you've talked to their aunt and you understand what their mental illness is or their mental state is, that they can say to you, oh my goodness, I'm not a monster. I may have done a monstrous thing or a number of monstrous things, but I'm not a monster. And when we can do that for our clients and we can reframe their lives for them, even if it is in prison for the rest of their lives or for decades, then we all become better, because that act of violence is really a result of everything that's wrong in our society. But we can take our clients' traumas and our clients' stories, we can help them form a new narrative. And that's why I'm coming to Full Picture Justice, because I'm a lawyer at heart. I like being in a courtroom, but I'm excited to be able to do things for my clients that you can't do as a lawyer from a public defender office. I want to be there for them when they come out of prison. I want to go visit them in prison, and I want to help them reform their relationships with their families, and I'm going to do everything that I can from them under the construct of following the law.
One of the investigators was was talking to the mom, and I was actually just pointing the camera and looking at the kids. And they were playing with some stuff that we brought, and then there was a car outside that was kind of making noises. And I think the middle girl, all of a sudden, it's like she's on camera and she doesn't know it. She bolts to the door and she says, drive by, and she locks the door. And we went back to, we prepared things, and I was sitting in the airport, and the flight was late, and it was Christmas Eve, and it was kind of, I was just thinking, it's like, what I just saw is, everybody should see it. Everybody should understand it. It's like, things don't come out of context. So, the client did whatever he did. His family probably carries trauma over generations, and quite the people outside of court actually should know about that. And I think that was kind of like a trigger that kind of put me eventually into leaving doing the billings, thank God, and into filmmaking. And I had to say, it's like, I think I never looked back. And it was really these 3 kids and how they're playing and how the little girl running to the door.
An organization that's batting 1,000. So I want you to think for a moment. I want you to just imagine. Fast forward a year or 2 or 3, and you're reading in the news, whether it's in Nevada or Arizona or Oklahoma, about the next person that's about to be executed with some new, novel, inhumane machinery of death. And you're reading in the New York Times about a last-minute Hail Mary legal strategy, and they're begging the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. It's not going to happen. Not with this Supreme Court. It's too late. It's too late. I want you to imagine in that moment the protests, the legal work, the efforts that go into trying to save that one human life. How much money would it be worth to you? How many dollars? If you knew that you could write a check tonight and save that life. That's the opportunity that's before you.